Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Ole Miss has hired Chris Beard. Yes, the Ole Miss Rebels have hired Chris Beard to be their new head basketball coach. I'm going to go over everything that happened for Ole Miss to hire Chris Beard and whether I think it's going to work out or not. Now, there's been a lot of coaches that have been fired in college basketball, and Ole Miss, they fired Kermit Davis, and they just hired Chris Beard to be their new head basketball coach, and that's a splash hire. A lot of people know Chris Beard as a proven head coach, one of the best in college basketball, and what he's done in the short time that he's been a head coach at the Power 5 level. And he's been one of the hottest names in college basketball for the past few years for all the right reasons, until this past season when he was at Texas. Things went wrong, but still Chris Beard is a fantastic head coach, and him being hired by Ole Miss is big news. And when he was at Little Rock, he went 30-5 in his one season as the Little Rock head coach, and he took him to the round of 32, and that's insane that he was able to take over a program like Little Rock and take him to the NCAA tournament in his first season after having a few smaller head coaching jobs before that. And then UNLV hired him, but then he went to Texas Tech after a short stint of being the UNLV head coach for a couple weeks. And in his first year as the Red Raiders head coach, he went 18-14 and 6-12 in the Big 12. So it wasn't the best start in the world for Chris Beard at Texas Tech, and they didn't make the tournament. But then in his second season at Texas Tech, they went 27-10 and 11-7 in the Big 12, and they went to the Elite Eight. And that was a massive increase for Chris Beard and Texas Tech. And then in his third season, they lost in the national championship game to Virginia, and he went 31-7 and went 14-4 in the Big 12. That was a huge season for Texas Tech. The Red Raiders are not normally a team that can go all the way to the national championship game, and what Chris Beard did was incredible. Having Jarrett Culver on that team and all the other players that they have, it was a fantastic season for Texas Tech, and Chris Beard was the hottest name in college basketball. And then the next season, Texas Tech went 18-13, 9-9 in the Big 12, and the season was canceled due to the virus. And then in his last season at Texas Tech, Chris Beard went 18-11, 9-8 in the Big 12, and they went to the round of 32. So obviously it was a step down after the season they went to the national championship game, but he still had Texas Tech above 500, playing pretty good basketball, and he took him to one more NCAA tournament. And then Texas came calling after Shaka Smart left for Marquette, and he went 22-12 and 10-8 in the Big 12 in his first season, and he took him to the round of 32. And a lot of Texas fans thought that Chris Beard possibly underperformed because of all the transfers Chris Beard had brought in, and a lot of Texas fans expected more, but he had a great first season, but he was starting to lose fanfare a little bit because of the way he left Texas Tech. And a lot of Red Raider fans were upset at him, but still, he had a great first season at Texas, and he was one of the best head coaches in college basketball. And then in year 2 at Texas, he led him to a 7-1 record, but then some bad news broke out with Chris Beard and everything that happened with that situation, and Chris Beard lost all respect for a lot of people, and he ended up getting fired at Texas, even though he was found not guilty after the fact in the situation that he was involved in. But still, Chris Beard had lost a lot of respect in the college basketball world, and a lot of people thought that he was deserved to be fired at Texas. Some people did not, but most people did, and he was now out of a job. After a couple years before, he was considered one of the best head coaches in college basketball, and a lot of people thought, what's Chris Beard going to do next? And Ole Miss just fired Kermit Davis, and they jumped on the chance to get Chris Beard as their next head coach, because think about it, if this hadn't happened with Chris Beard, there's no way he's going to Ole Miss. There's no way that Ole Miss is going to be able to get that high profile of a head coach, because even though Kermit Davis was a fantastic coach at Middle Tennessee State, Ole Miss would probably only been able to hire somebody like that, a guy from a smaller program, or someone that had just previously been fired from another school that was probably more on their level. And Chris Beard being at Texas, that's a huge job, and Chris Beard was at the top of college basketball, but suddenly he'd fallen from grace with everything that had happened, and Ole Miss saw the potential to hire him. Now, a lot of people are seeing this as a bad move because of the fact, for people that don't think that Chris Beard should have got hired so quickly, and maybe they have some validity to that, then this is a bad hire for Ole Miss if you look at it from that perspective, because you just hired a guy that was just in trouble and in the news for all the wrong reasons. So this could be a bad hire if you look at it from that point of view, because Ole Miss is just taking advantage of the situation and getting Chris Beard to come in, knowing that they would never have been able to get a head coach like Chris Beard if that hadn't happened. But then other people are overlooking all that, or putting that in the past, and that it wasn't as big of a deal, especially because he was found not guilty. Then this is a fantastic hire for Ole Miss, because you never would have landed a coach like Chris Beard at Ole Miss if that hadn't happened. So for Ole Miss, for this to be a good hire, then none of the stuff that has happened with Chris Beard can come up again. It has to go all under the bridge, and if it does, then as long as Chris Beard doesn't have any more new violations or the old stuff doesn't come up, then this is a fantastic hire for Ole Miss. I'm sure he's going to make the Rebels a much better program. He's going to be able to get recruits to come in, and Ole Miss might actually be really good in basketball for the next few years until Chris Beard probably after that would get a better head coaching job yet again. So you're not going to have him for the longest time in the world. But if all the stuff that broke out in the past happens with Chris Beard again, then this hire could really go downhill for Ole Miss. He could end up getting fired, and Ole Miss could even get in trouble and get dragged down with it as well, and make their already struggling basketball program even worse and further down the SEC ladder. But overall, this is just going to have to be a wait-and-see mode. We're going to have to find out what's going to happen with Chris Beard. If everything falls by the wayside and Chris Beard doesn't get in any more trouble, then this is a fantastic hire for Ole Miss, and I see really good things coming in the future for the Rebels. But if the stuff in the past pops back up or any new things break out with Chris Beard, then Ole Miss could really go downhill, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But as is right now, this is a fantastic hire for Ole Miss to hire Chris Beard, but we're just going to have to see what happens in the future to see if it all works out. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content, like this video down below, comment down below what you think about Ole Miss hiring Chris Beard, whether you think the Rebels made the right decision, and whether you think Chris Beard will work out as the Ole Miss head coach. Follow me on Twitter as well, and I will see you next time.